My guest is Rob Henneke, General Counsel and Director of the Center for the American Future at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Rob worked as an Assistant Attorney General for former Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott, who is now governor there, of course. And Mr. Henneke is also leading a coalition urging Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to change the rules in order to speed up the confirmation of Trump judicial appointees. And Rob, thanks so much for being with us.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, when it comes to legal nominations, most attention is on Brett Kavanaugh and his upcoming Supreme Court confirmation hearings, but there's a lot of outstanding district and appellate nominees as well. How big is this backlog getting?
So the backlog is currently 152 current vacancies in the federal judiciary. And while the letter you referenced that was signed by the foundation and 11 other national conservative organizations first of all, recognize the great work that the Senate and this president have done in confirming very qualified judges committed to the United States Constitution. There is a backlog that's growing every day, and it's presenting a problem as far as the judiciary being able to get its job done.
We were supposed to see the Senate in action most of this month. Have they been doing that? What have they accomplished so far?
Well, the Senate's been in recess for all of August until yesterday. They came back yesterday and are addressing, I think, 2 nominees this week. But there are some rules in the way that the Senate is operating that is not moving this process fast enough. And that was really the point of our letter,
right.
To recognize credit for the good work that's being done, but to encourage the Senate to, as we say, clear the deck, and especially to point out the need to do so before the confirmation hearing of Justice Kavanaugh commences, and how we need to get these nominees who have been vetted, who have had hearings held, confirmed and on the bench to be able to do the work of the people.
So what's gumming it up, and how could Mitch McConnell fix it?
So there's 2 ways. Number one is the rule regarding the amount of time that can be spent per nominee for what's supposed to be debate. And right now, under the rules, it's 30 hours that is set by the Senate rules. And the intent of that is for there to be debate and discussion about a particular nominee. But what's happening is that the Democrats are claiming that 30 hours for every nominee. They're not actually talking about the nominee. There's nobody on the Senate floor. They're just forcing that clock to run for each and every single nominee to slow down the process. And so that needs to be addressed, and I think 2 ways to do so. One is to shorten the period of time from 30 hours to a much more reasonable period of time, and then to actually require there to be debate or discussion about a particular nominee, or that time period would be waived or would expire. And then the other thing that we point out is we really encourage that the Senate needs to put more hours into this process, that we would encourage the Senate to be working 24/7 to clear the deck and to confirm all of the pending nominees. And look, that may require later hours and more days for the Senate to be in session, but this is so important for the prosperity of America to have a complete and robust judiciary of these type of nominees that we just have to get the job done.
If those changes were to be made, how many of this backlog do you think could be confirmed in this Congress?
I think the whole backlog could be. And I think it would be transformative in putting constitutional rule of law jurists on the bench who will decide cases not based on partisanship or policy, but on basically what the law says and what the United States Constitution says, which is what the role of the judiciary is and should be.
Mitch McConnell has toyed with changing the rules, hasn't actually done it, other than, of course, the nuclear filibuster on Supreme Court nominations. But what have you heard in response, if anything, so far?
So interesting to point out that it was not Mitch McConnell that changed the rule for Supreme Court, the nuclear option. You have to remember that was actually done by his predecessor, Harry Reid. This has been used as a threat to the Democrats to quit obstructing. But look, we are now in August of 2018. This president has been in office since January of 2017. We're looking at, 152 current vacancies. It's past time. And so, the threats need to turn into action, and we need our Senate leadership. We need Leader McConnell to, impose what he can do to get the job done.
Last question, last few seconds here, Rob. The answer is probably pretty obvious, but what happens to the president's judicial nominations if the Democrats take control of the Senate?
They don't get confirmed, and we lose this opportunity for now and for generations to come to have reform of the federal judiciary that's going to uphold the Constitution and defend the rule of law, and that would be catastrophic for the future of our country.
We'll keep on top of it, and you're obviously leading the charge to make sure something happens here as well. Rob, thank you very much for being with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, thanks for your interest. You bet.
Rob Henneke is General Counsel and Director of the Center for the American Future at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. I'm Greg Columbus of Radio America, reporting for WND.com.